going to convene the meeting of the 2021 Chugach Electric Virtual Annual Meeting. The meeting will now come to order. Will you all please stand and join me in the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, thank you for being here, everyone. Welcome. Good evening. My name is Bettina Chastain, for those of you who don't know, and I'm the chair of the board of directors for Chugach Electric Association, and tonight I'm going to be the chair of the virtual annual meeting and a follow-on board meeting where we're going to convey some information to you about the happenings of Chugach over the last year. Tonight, as you all know, our meeting's being held in a virtual platform due to the COVID pandemic and the health and safety restrictions. The board voted a little while back to go ahead and hold this year's annual meeting virtually. Again, this is the second year in a row due to just the pandemic and the encouragement to not hold large gatherings. And for those of you who have attended any of our annual meetings in the past, you know that they do tend to be rather large events, up to 450 people, where we interact with our members and we serve food. And we just thought, just to be safe, one more year, we will go ahead and hold it in this virtual format. So our meeting this evening is being live streamed through a platform called Starleaf, and members have been able to sign up to participate in this meeting, or at least to listen and watch this meeting on the Chugach website since April 1st. We're super pleased to announce that the numbers keep going up, but we have about 200 people signed up to participate in this meeting this evening. So thank you for being here. For those who are not able to participate tonight, we are recording this meeting and it will be live on the Chugach website after tonight's meeting. So I'd like to first make a few introductions for folks in the room here with me. Firstly, I'd like to introduce our CEO, Mr. Lee Ebert. He's here with us this evening and he's going to be giving you some great information about what has been happening with Chugach over the past year. I also have some fellow board members in the room here. Our Vice Chair, Rachel Morse, is here. Our Treasurer, Director Harold Hollis, is here. Our Board Secretary, Mr. Jim Henderson, is here. Director Stuart Parks is here. And Director Mark Wiggin is here. Also in the room, we have our parliamentarian for the evening. We have Barbara Simpson-Kraft in the audience. Thank you for being here, Barbara. So without a quorum, our bylaws say that the only business that we're allowed to conduct this evening is to announce the results of our election. So we're going to do this a little bit unconventionally just because of the format that we're in. We will be adjourning this meeting after we get the election results, and then we'll start a regular board meeting where we'll be able to give you some reports, a CEO report, the treasurer's report, and reports from the board members. So please stay with us. Please stay online for both meetings, and hopefully it'll be a really quick switch. In this election year, 3 candidates ran for 1 open seat, and there were 4 proposed amendments to our bylaws that we asked you to vote on. And I'd like to ask our Master Election Judge, Don Bundig, to come forward and announce the results of the election.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Dawn Bundig, and it has been my privilege to serve as Master Election Judge for this year's election. The election committee is made up of member volunteers appointed by the board. The committee is responsible for ensuring a fair and impartial election process. Chugach hired the certified public accounting firm of BDO USA LLP to serve as election contractor and to conduct the mechanics of the election. The board of directors set April 1st as the record date for this year's election. On April 16th, election materials were sent by mail and electronically to 91,556 Chugach members of record. Members had the choice to vote electronically, by secure drop box, or with a paper ballot. Mail-in voting ended Friday, May 14th at noon, and electronic voting ended at 4 p.m. today. Due to the coronavirus pandemic, there was no in-person voting this year. Election materials were posted online, and members were notified of election milestones through postcard mailings and through email communications. Paper ballot packets were available for members who requested it. In addition to postcard mailings and email, members were kept informed of the process through regular updates in the outlet newsletter, social media, and on the Chugach website. I would like to thank the members of the Election Committee, Nominating Committee, and Bylaws Committee for their service to Chugach and the election process over the past several months. Now, what you've been waiting for, the 2021 election results. Here are tonight's election results. 10,236 electronic ballots were cast. 217 paper ballots were returned. In all, a total of 10,453 ballots were cast by the above means in this year's election, representing 11.4% of the members of record. I'll first announce results of the voting on the proposed bylaws changes, then follow with the results of the directors of election. Here are the results of the 4 proposed bylaws amendments. The first proposed bylaw amendment, board and committee eligibility, received 9,394 yes votes and 641 no votes. Again, that was 9,394 yes votes and 641 no votes. Therefore, the bylaw amendment passed. The second proposed bylaw amendment, manner of holding meetings, received 9,236 yes votes and 802 no votes. Again, that was 9,236 yes votes and 802 no votes. Therefore, the bylaw amendment passed. The third proposed bylaw amendment, executive sessions, received 8,960 yes votes and 1,030 no votes. Again, that was 8,960 yes votes and 1,030 no votes. Therefore, the bylaw amendment passed. The fourth proposed bylaw amendment, capital credits, received 9,197 yes votes, 792 no votes. Again, that was 9,197 yes votes and 792 no votes. Therefore, the bylaw amendment passed. And now for the results of the Board of Directors election. The 3 candidates running this year were Leslie Fritz Krunzen, Stuart Parks, and Aaron Whitney. The one candidate who receives the most votes will be elected to a 4-year term. I will give the results of each candidate and read their votes totals twice. Leslie Krunzen received 2,040 votes. Again, 2,040 votes. Stuart Parks received 3,075 votes. Again, 3,075 votes. Aaron Whitney received 5,234 votes. Again, 5,234 votes. Therefore, Aaron Whitney has been elected to a 4-year term. Madam Chair, that concludes my election report.
Thank you, Dawn and the BDO election team. We appreciate your service to us. And thank you for all of the members who volunteer to serve on all of our committees, our nominations committee, our election committee, our bylaws committee. It really helps to ensure a member-driven election process. So thank you very much for those of you who volunteer. And we always have volunteer opportunities for anyone who would love to join us and help out in the future. Again, since this is a virtual annual meeting held via live stream from the Chugach boardroom, the election results are the only thing that we can report tonight. It's the only business that we can conduct officially. So we're going to adjourn this particular meeting, and then we're going to convene a separate regular board meeting in order to present our members with some additional information about the things that Chugach has done, activities of the past year, and looking to the future. So stay tuned to this live stream, and we're going to quickly continue on with the next meeting. So I will now entertain a motion from one of the board members to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded for adjournment of this meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes and we are now adjourned. Thank you. It is 5:47, and we are going to start a regular board meeting, May 18th, 2021, regular board meeting for Chugach Electric. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 5:47 p.m. And first we will do a roll call. Present in the room, we have Director Morse, Director Hollis, Director Wiggin, Director Kaysen, Director Henderson, and myself. Next up, we are going to administer the oath of office to our newly elected board member, Aaron Whitney, and I will have Mr. Clarkson come up and do the honors.
Aaron Whitney, please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm that you will honestly and faithfully perform your duties as a director of Chugach Electric, and that you will uphold the association's articles of the corporation, bylaws, and policies to the best of your ability. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Okay, next up, we need to approve the agenda for the evening.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. As written, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the agenda, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. Item 4 this evening, persons to be heard. There are no persons to be heard this evening. We have nothing on the consent agenda, item 5, but we will move on to item 6, which is CEO reports and correspondence. And I am going to turn it over to Lee for him to give us a report on the happenings at Chugach.
All right. Well, thank you, Bettina. And thanks for the members that have signed on to our live stream tonight, and then the people later that will watch this via the Chugach website. I want to give my congratulations to Aaron for being our new board member. And I want to thank Stuart Parks as well for his long service here at Chugach Electric. So thank you both. We held our annual meeting virtually again this year. And, you know, obviously it's much better if we could do this in person. And we hope by 2022 that we can get back to an in-person meeting and go back to the Dedina Center where everybody can meet and have a much more engaged dialogue. As you know, 2020 was largely filled up with all of the COVID news and change in protocols. We had our lobby closed initially for several weeks. We did open up the lobby to limited service after we put in the screens and make sure the employees were safe and that members would feel comfortable coming in, that they would not go through any transmission. We also limited we closed the northern lobby efforts, but we've continued to keep the drive-through open. That's been a very popular option, and I think people very much like to have that available to do the drive-through. We implemented a number of changes to our workforce, which allowed for everyone to work safely but continue to serve our members. We had roughly 25 to 30% of our employees work remotely from home. That worked out very well, especially I think with the IT folks and a number of accounting people and so forth. It worked out very well to have them working from home. We also established remote sites for the crews rather than having all the crews show up here at headquarters. We split them up and they showed up to different substations around town. And that way we limited the interaction between the crews. So that worked out very well. And then we had limited access into our control rooms and into our major power plants. So that really, I think over the period of this last year, we've had very, very few employees come down with COVID, and so it's worked out very well. Currently, we are working towards bringing most of our employees back to the normal work environment, but still watching the precautions and following health and safety guidance put out by officials. As of today, we have just 20 employees working remote. We are pleased that a large percentage of our workforce are fully vaccinated. We did a survey about a month ago, and of the survey, roughly 80% of the employees that took the survey were vaccinated. So that's very good news, and I think it helps everybody feel comfortable coming back into the work environment. I'd like to thank our employees for their great work and cooperation during a very challenging year. I also want to thank our members for being flexible and working with us throughout the year as the situation continued to change. And we did have a number of changes throughout the year. I want to talk tonight about some of the things that we did in the past, and then I want to talk a little bit about the future. We're going to talk about electric vehicles. We're going to talk about renewables that we're undertaking, a battery that we're looking at installing this summer. So it's just some of the new things that are going on for the future. So the big news, obviously, in 2020 was the closing of the ML&P acquisition to Chugach. And that, it's been talked about for decades. And I know for me, I've been here at Chugach a little over 30 years, and I think this is the third time that we've made the attempt, and I'm very proud that we could actually get that accomplished. It's something that it really took a team to get this done, and obviously the team is sitting around this table. The board of directors was a very, very good board. They got involved. I don't know how many meetings, Bettina, we had, but it was several over the 3 years, I think, that we were working on this. So I know it was an extreme effort with the board, and I very much appreciate it. Our executive staff was just fantastic. I think I've got one of the best executive staffs that I know about, and they've been very supportive, very professional, and they definitely got the job done. We also have a great group of managers and the people that actually run the place, the guys out in the field, the people in customer service and accounting, the power plants. Everybody just did a fantastic job. We just couldn't have done this without them. There were also, the community was also involved. We had the vote where we received a 2/3 majority, over 60% of the people voted for this. We had organizations that helped out tremendously. We had the Alaska Energy Authority, we had AEDC, we had our fellow utilities, all the way from Golden Valley to Matanuska Electric to Seward Electric down into Homer. Everybody supported and worked with Chugach to get this accomplished. Obviously, the mayor's office was very supportive in making this happen, and as well as the Anchorage Chamber of Commerce. So everybody really in this community really put forward the effort to make it happen. So I want to give everybody congratulations for getting it done. And I'm glad to have it behind me. The acquisition required a lot of extra effort and made for some stress for employees. I know I probably gained a few gray hairs along the way, and unfortunately probably a few pounds around the middle. But we'll get back to normal, hopefully, very soon. Throughout the process, we maintained our guiding principles. We said that rates would not increase as a result of the transaction, and that's true today. We've had no layoffs. Workers are protected, and we will downsize through attrition. And the deal is good for the community with lower long-term rates and rates of revenue for critical services for Anchorage. And I think with the tight budgets that we see right now, the money that we provide to the municipality will be a great benefit to all of our ratepayers. The transition to one utility has been relatively smooth. We welcomed 23,000 new members to the Chugach system, and we did it without any interruption in service. An interruption in service went all the way from outages to customers to making sure people's payroll was done correctly, that bills went out, and we received, back into getting all the new vendors incorporated into Chugach. So it was a lot of services that really worked well. And I think the transition was very, very smooth. We also met what I call the three things that members value most, and that's reliability, price, and service. From a reliability perspective, We had in 2019 an average outage rate of 1.79, that was what happened in 2019. In 2020, it was 1.68. So we had an improvement in overall reliability. We also saw a decrease in our rates from all members in January, and we continue to keep a close watch on the bottom line. Each year we survey our members on overall service, and over 90% of our members gave us an A or a B rating, so it was excellent rating. I think it was actually 92.7%. On the challenging side, we had COVID-19, and that has had an impact on our financial situation as electric load has dropped, particularly in the downtown areas with a large number of commercial members. Commercial demand in Anchorage is down about 7%, roughly 7.23%, and that will create some challenges on the finances. We have a plan in place, and we will get where we need to be by the end of the year, but it will be a challenge. Rates, looking ahead, we are not expecting any major changes this year. Base rate should remain flat for the remainder of the year. The same is expected for our fuel and purchase power rates, which have been factored into the rates we have today. And we are expecting to hold that level as we reflect the efficiencies on the system gained by having one utility. Renewables, in terms of renewables, our goal is to put more renewables into the system in the coming years. In our strategic plan, we have set a goal of increasing renewable generation on the Chugach system by 100,000 megawatt hours. Now, what does 100,000 megawatt hours mean? To give you kind of a perspective, when people put up solar panels on the top of their houses, if every member in the system, 96,000 homes, put 4 panels on their roof, that would be the equivalent of 100,000 megawatt hours. So it's a big number, and it's something that we will look at. And we're probably looking at solar will be one, and the other is probably wind in the next 4 years. So those are the areas that we're working on. We're also working with independent power producers to advance partnerships to add renewable resources to the system. We always look to make sure costs are competitive with existing generation resources, as our goal is to reduce not only fuel, but carbon emissions while being cost aware. We are also looking at a battery that would support renewables. The battery is primarily a reliability project, and its main function will be grid stabilization. The battery provides the ancillary benefit of reducing fuel usage by performing frequency regulation and spinning reserve functions. Finally, increased grid stability and system response will enhance Chugach's ability to integrate non-dispatchable renewables like wind and solar. We have a robust program focused on increasing the use of electric vehicles by providing more charging opportunities. We have partnered with several businesses around Anchorage who have installed EV chargers in order to give drivers more confidence in being able to drive EVs and keep them charged. This is a focus of the rail-built utilities as a whole, as we recognize EV use is growing all over the country, including in Alaska, and we want to be a supportive part of that growth. The Battle Creek project came online in 2020, which increased the amount of water available for Bradley Lake. By diverting Battle Creek water into Bradley Lake, the Bradley Lake project will increase energy output by a little over 10%. From what I understand, it's above that so far this year. With the consolidation of ML&P, Chugach now purchases over 50% of the energy from the state-owned Bradley Electric project. And it's really some of the lowest energy cost on the rail bill. So we're very fortunate to have Bradley Lake. These are just a few highlights from 2020 and our focus for the future. There are a number of other projects that we're working on in 2020, and they're captured in our annual report. The annual report is posted on our website, and please take the time to download that and take a look online. So with that, I will turn it back over to Chair Chastain.
Thank you, Lee.
Thank you.
Having the opportunity to serve on the Chugach Board of Directors is one of the advantages of being belonging to a member cooperative. Directors serve for a 4-year term, and we are limited to not to exceed 3 consecutive 4-year terms. So we do have term limits on this board. Serving on the board is an honor, and I think I can speak for all of us when I say it's really a privilege. One of the traditions that we started a few years ago was to put together a video that captures some comments from the board members about serving on the board, what it's like, highlighting some of the major projects of the previous year, and having some comments about some of the things that we're looking at doing in the future. So tonight, as we've had in the last few years, we have a video for you with comments from board members who were serving Chugach in 2020.
I think the most important role of a Chugach board member is, first and foremost, to look out for the best interests of our members.
The most important is the strategic planning process. What percentage of renewable power do we want to have on the grid in Chugach? What role do we want to take in promoting electric vehicle uptake in this state? It's that strategic planning process where we peer into the future for the utility.
I think as a co-op, the most important role is to represent the members to senior leadership at Chugach so that the key decisions have input from our members. All of us as board members are members, and we listen to our members. They email us, they tell us what's going on, and it's our job to represent.
The most important role of a Chugach board member is to ask questions on behalf of the membership and make sure that management is considering the interests of the members.
I think with every decision that we make, we always need to keep the members in mind. We make decisions to make sure that the members are receiving the best quality, the most reliable service, and at the lowest rates.
I think being a sounding board, being exposed to the rest of the world and being able to bring in new ideas, outside ideas, and good, sound business judgment.
Our members have a lot to say. It's important that we learn what they're interested in, and we're the conduit to express that to the senior management.
What COVID has taught us as a utility is the same lesson, at least I think, has taught people around the world, and that is we don't all have to be face-to-face to do the work. That plus the fact that we were able just to adapt our processes to keep people safe while all of this was going on in our community.
I am so proud of Chugach and all the employees who pivoted to continue to create a safe workplace and to be reliable and keep the lights on, and I think it shows that we are capable of handling rapidly changing environments and thriving.
I think probably the biggest takeaway from the pandemic was that we should not become complacent in our planning and in our examination of systems and practices that will protect not only the people in our workforce, but the people who we encounter on a daily basis.
If I could sum it up in one word, I think the lessons learned is resilience. I look at what the Chugach team has done. I see the compassion that our customer service and our management has given to our members who have struggled. Truly, Chugach has stepped up and has been resilient in every challenge through this pandemic. It's really quite impressive.
All of us have, for the most part, learned how to do video conferencing. That's excellent. There's all sorts of technologies that we've been forced to embrace. There's ways we should be leveraging this expertise, this new knowledge, and making our personal lives, our companies we work for, Chugach Electric, to make them all more efficient and really leverage off that knowledge and expertise.
The one thing I've noticed is people are more friendly. show more empathy. They're more courteous.
I've learned that flexibility is the key. Everyone was able to pivot and really keep this organization as safe as possible so that we can keep the lights on.
Truly, I think the easy part's been done. Really trying to integrate the two utilities is where the rubber meets the road, and that's where we're going to bring value of the acquisition to our members.
What comes to mind is how well it was done on such a big project. The smoothness and the efficiency that Chugach and ML&P executed the merger, the actual switching of the organizations was amazing.
I was in four mergers that I personally worked in, so I knew from the get-go this is not an easy task. The success rate is only 10%, and you're part of that 10%. That's admirable.
What was really accomplished is that Anchorage has one electric utility. The efficiency of integrating the workforce, integrating the generation assets, and integrating the inventory will pay dividends for decades to come.
I think that was a lot of hard work to get to the starting line, and that really there's more work to come in the integration and the consolidation to make it really successful, and I am counting on those savings showing up for our members.
What a huge accomplishment it was to get through such a complicated deal. I think it's super exciting that it's that piece of it is behind us, but there's certainly a long road ahead. And I think we all recognize that it's probably going to take just as much effort and just as much work to realize the culmination of the deal and to realize the savings for our ratepayers and the community.
What I'm probably the most proud of is seeing how all the team members, both on the Chugach side and the ML&P side, work together as a close-knit team to accomplish this goal. Increasing our renewable portfolio, carbon reduction, so finding solutions for electric vehicle charging.
Renewable energy. I'm talking about energy generation. We'll find new nuclear devices that are clean.
What really excites me is taking this merged entity, which through say the RRC, the new entity, the Rail Belt Reliability Council, will integrate us more closely with our fellow utilities. We can start thinking about things like renewable power, grid electrification for power for vehicles, and all the other sustainable powers that will help us in the future.
I am ready for us to have really good conversations about renewable resources and how we move in that direction, how we support electric vehicles, and I am so excited that the Rail Belt is working together on regional planning.
The Rail Belt Reliability Council, we will be able to put in more of the kind of forward-looking generation resources that will take us into the next century.
I am an electric vehicle owner, and I am super, super excited about being able to work on the infrastructure in Alaska for supporting electric vehicles.
Exciting to me personally as a renewable portfolio standard. We're one of the few states that has never adopted one. However, I think it's important as we look to a long-term sustainable future for Chugach Electric.
So up next, we are going to have Director Hollis, our board treasurer, present the 2020 Treasurer's Report. Director Hollis, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Chair Chastain. Good evening, and thank you for joining us for this meeting. I'm very pleased to be serving as the treasurer for the Chugach Board of Directors. The 2020 financials are in the 2020 annual report posted on the Financial Information information section of the Chugach website. I also have a video this evening with some highlights from our 2020 financial report. 2020 proved to be an eventful year as we managed both the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic environment and the acquisition of the majority of the assets of Municipal Light and Power. That acquisition closed on October 30, 2020. This slide shows the fixed assets that we acquired from ML&P, from generation to overhead and underground distribution lines. As you can see, our generation capacity increased by 406 megawatts for a total of 937.2 megawatts, and our transmission increased to 464 miles. Substations increased by 18 for a total of 61. Overhead distribution lines increased by 220 miles for a total of 1,112 miles, while underground increased by 589 for a total of 1,424 miles. In addition, over 23,000 ML&P customers became Chugach members on that day, and we are excited to share with them the benefits of cooperative membership. We are also pleased that over 180 employees joined our Chugach team. In 2016, Chugach acquired a 10% working interest in the Beluga River Unit, a Cook Inlet gas production field. As part of the ML&P acquisition, Chugach's working interest share increased to 2/3. Hillcorp owns the other 1/3 working interest and remains the field's operator. Post-acquisition, the BRU is expected to provide approximately 50% of Chugach's gas requirements on a volume basis through 2037. With the addition of ML&P's assets, Chugach's net utility plant asset base doubled from last year and now is comprised of 59% generation and transmission, 25% distribution, 4% BRU, and 12% general plant and other, which is largely structures, transportation, office, and communication equipment. Our sales in 2020 were over 1.3 million megawatt hours, with the majority of the sales providing service to our commercial and residential members, and the remaining sales providing service to Seward. Our 2020 total sales revenue was $237.4 million. Our commercial and residential members provided approximately 96% of our revenue. Our total cost of electric service was $232.9 million. Fuel and operations and maintenance made up 64%, while the depreciation of our assets and interest on the debt to fund those assets made up 27%. We also purchased power in 2020, primarily from the Bradley Lake Hydroelectric Project, Fire Island, and ML&P prior to the acquisition, which accounted for 9% of our total costs. Our revenue, less expenses, generated a margin of $5 million in 2020, consistent with the margin generated in 2019. As a not-for-profit, member-owned cooperative, these margins will ultimately be returned to our members. Chugach issued $800 million of additional debt at a very favorable weighted average interest rate of 2.73% to fund the acquisition of ML&P's assets and related transaction costs. All of our long-term debt is at fixed rates, and with that additional debt issuance, our average interest rate on all of our long-term debt is now at 3.28%. Additionally, we made over $26 million of principal payments in 2020 on our long-term debt. Our financial ratios, MFI over I, margins for interest over interest, and TIER, times interest earned ratio, which are measures of our ability to service our short and long-term interest,
came in at 1.20, while our equity ratio decreased to 13.9% due to the additional debt related to the acquisition of ML&P's assets. We are able to obtain and secure debt at low rates due in part to our favorable credit ratings. We currently have an A rating from Standard & Poor's Global Ratings and an A- from Fitch Ratings. And lastly, we are pleased to report we received an unqualified opinion from our independent auditors for 2020.
This concludes my treasurer's report for 2020. I want to thank you for joining us. And as I mentioned, the 2020 financials are posted on the Chugach website. And this video is also posted on the website under the board of directors. Please feel free to check it out yourself. With that, I will turn it back over to Chair Chastain.
Thank you for that, Director Hollis, and thank you for acting as our treasurer for the board, for the organization. We appreciate that very much. It's a lot of hard work, I know. Okay, so next up we have item 8, unfinished business. We have no unfinished business to talk about. But item 9, new business, we are going to take some questions from the members. As part of our virtual annual meeting sign up, we offered members the opportunity to ask questions about Chugach. And we are really pleased that several members did submit some questions. So I'm going to turn this over to Lee and ask him to read and answer the questions that were submitted by the membership. So thank you very much for asking.
Okay, thanks, Bettina. We had 20 questions that were submitted from more than the 200 people that signed up for the virtual annual meeting. So excellent work and a lot of really great questions. I will read the answer and then, or I'll read the question and then follow up with the answer. So okay, so the first one is, can billing statements be altered to show that auto pay is in effect? And I know that was an issue with a number of members early on, and unfortunately with the system we have, we can't do that. That's something that we're looking at that would be an enhancement in the near future. The next question is about capital credits. And if you recall, and for our new members, as a cooperative, we have profits each year, and those profits are called margins. Those margins, since we are a nonprofit organization, are returned to members after we use them for capital investments and so forth. So rather than going out and borrowing all the money we need, we use the members' monies to help finance the corporation. So in general, your capital credits are the margins that are returned back to the members. So this particular member says the $2,000 shown on your credit history indicates your total capital credits remaining to be paid. Generally, Chugach holds your credits for approximately 30 years, similar to a loan from a bank. So this person is looking at the piece of paper they get or they can look at online, and it says they have $2,000 worth of capital credits coming. So the question that the member has is, when am I going to get that money, and how do I know what I'm going to be paid? And unfortunately, it really depends on the finances of the organization and how we're doing, and it's up to the board to determine when you give those dollars back. So if you look at that statement, you're going to see, me as an example, I went back to 1984 when I was a member. And over the years, it'll tell you what your allocation each year is of your capital credits. So you take your contribution to the total organization, and that's what you get in capital credits each year. And it's probably it's going to be in the $50 or $60 every year that adds up. What you're seeing is probably 20 some years of capital credits that are allocated up. They're equivalent to $2,000 right now. What you have to do is look at, as an example, in 2021, you'll see we hold the money for roughly 30 years. So what you want to do is go back to 1991, and that's the capital credits that you'll get for that particular year if the board chooses to make that capital credit allocation or payment. So what you have to do is kind of go back, and you're going to be looking at maybe $50. And in some years, we'll make a partial payment, so we won't release all of those capital credits each year. So it may only be 50% of the capital credits. So instead of getting $50, you might get $25. So that's kind of how you look at that schedule. How has the merger progressed, and have there been any surprises in combining the two entities? Well, quite frankly, I'm not sure we've had time to look at surprises. I'm sure there has been a few for the board a number of times, but really it's gone very, very smooth. And I think probably the biggest surprises for us is when we took over ML&P, we saw a huge change in demand, and that's something that we didn't see in our service territory to the south. But since the commercial district is so heavily tied to demand, that's probably one surprise we saw with COVID and the acquisition. Another question is, shouldn't one or two board positions be added for the former ML&P customers and service area? That's really a good question, and it's something this board has talked about for the last couple of years. Something that can be looked at going forward. Currently, Chugach does not have district seats. They are all at large. Also, former ML&P customers will be eligible to run for the open board seats during the next year. That will open up the opportunities to get involved. Process-wise, any changes to the makeup of the board of directors would have to be part of the change in the bylaws. We look at bylaws every year at election time and would encourage you to apply and become a bylaws member. That's something that you can bring up with the committee. That committee can then take it to the board of directors for that further discussion. So I encourage you, if you want to make changes to the bylaws, to get on the committee, and that'll probably start at the end of the year where we'll advertise.
Yep, November, December for January.
November and December for January. Okay, so take a look in November and December, and please get on the bylaws committee. Next question is, what is happening with the proposal for a community solar installation for those of us who don't get enough sun on their houses to have individual solar panels? And if you recall, several years ago, we submitted a proposal for a community solar project to the Regulatory Commission of Alaska, and the Regulatory Commission rejected it. And the primary reason for rejecting it is they were concerned that if we didn't have 100% subscriptions, that some of it would be taken care of or basically subsidized by the rest of the membership. And they wanted to make sure that didn't happen. So they rejected it. And so we are looking at a number of other options right now. We are working with IPPs, and I think those IPPs will be looking for investors for individual projects going forward. So we don't have anything firm right now. But please stay tuned, and we'll hope to have that here within the next year or so. Okay, the next question is, how soon will Chugach commit to 100% renewable? Not sure my crystal ball goes out that far, but I want to give you some factors to consider when moving from what we have today to a renewable, 100% renewables. Our current fleet of baseload natural gas generation retires between 2048 and 2056. And as you recall, we just built SPP not too long ago, and when we took over ML&P, they built a brand new plant 2A out on the highway. So both of those plants are fairly new, and they have a 35 to 40 year life. So what you can see is we'll be paying on those through 2048 to 2056. If we replace baseload generation, that means that we would have to do some kind of write-off with those existing assets, which would considerably increase the price of power we pay to members. So that's something we really have to look very closely at and make sure that we move towards renewables, but we don't increase rates where people can't afford to pay their electric bills. Currently, in our strategic plan, as I talked about a little bit earlier, we do have the addition of renewables, and that's an additional 100,000 megawatt hours by 2025. And that will get us to, currently we're at about 24% renewables with both hydro and wind. And that will get us up to roughly 30%. So that's kind of our goal for the next 4 years, is making sure we achieve that goal. Going beyond that, if you're looking at base load in the 2045 to 2050 area, I think we really have to look hard at hydro. Some of the other options out there are geothermal, you've got nuclear, you've got waste to energy. So those are just some of the projects that could be base loaded. What we also are looking at is more wind and solar, but they require a battery to regulate them on an ongoing basis. Okay, the next question. Our electrical rates are high compared to those of the lower 48. That is because we pay a great deal for gas storage. Who owns the gas storage, and what is their relationship to Chugach? Why doesn't Chugach own its gas storage? First, I want to clarify that gas storage costs are not, I guess, the driver of rates. They're very small. What I will say is fuel costs are significant. Fuel cost and purchase power represent roughly 30% of your energy bill. So that is a big deal, but the cost of storage is only about 3% of that cost. So it's very minor, but so that's kind of the first thing. I just want to clarify that it's not a major driver of electric rates. Electric rates are typically higher in Alaska because gas costs are much higher. In Alaska, we pay $7.50 to $8 per MCF, whereas in the lower 48, they're paying $2.50 to $3 per MCF. The cost of gas storage is roughly 23 cents per MCF. Additionally, the electric utility industry is capital intensive with high fixed costs. In that regards, customer density can have a significant impact on electric rates. This is the primary reason that Chugach acquired MLMP, is to improve economies of scale that results in greater efficiencies with a lower overall cost structure. And these efficiencies obviously will run into lower overall electric rates. To answer the question on ownership, gas storage in Alaska is owned by, it's a CINGSA project. CINGSA is owned by Instar Natural Gas parent company, AltaGas, and SERI is a minority interest owner. Chugach has no relationship with AltaGas. Chugach has a commercial agreement with SERI subsidiary called Fire Island Wind, and we do buy power from Fire Island Wind on the Fire Island Wind project. Chugach uses roughly 20% of the 11 BCF CINGSA gas storage facility. We determined that based on risk, benefits, and cost, contracting for 20 years was better than acquiring the facility in itself. Okay, next question. Do you anticipate another COPA rate increase in the coming year or a decrease possible? Overall, we expect COPA rates, and COPA rates is basically our fuel and purchase power cost. It's a cost of power adjustment. So we expect COPA rates to be fairly stable throughout the year. Generally, we see both increases and decreases in the COPA rates depending on a number of factors. Those factors are the availability of hydroelectric power, and if you have a good rain season or a snow season, you might get more water or you might get less, and that will impact your gas usage. If you have a major generation unit that goes down, one of the combined cycles, it's very efficient, and you have to replace it with higher cost over in Beluga, the simple cycle machines, that will cause an increase or decrease in gas. Transmission line availability. As you recall, was it 2 or 3 years ago, we had the big fire, Swan Lake fire down in the Kenai, and that required us to separate from our big hydroelectric project. So having that transmission line available is very key, and if you don't have it available, it can drive gas cost. Another factor is our Beluga River gas field. We receive roughly 50% of our gas from Beluga River field. Depending on that production, prices can go up or down. So there's really a lot of variables that are built into the gas price, but what we're forecasting is pretty steady. Okay, this next one says that Texas saw one of the worst winter storms and power outages it has ever seen. What do you propose Alaska does to prevent an incident such as Texas saw this past winter, especially with our isolated geography? There were two primary issues with the Texas case. Number one, they had extremely cold weather, which Texas just never planned for. They had sub-zero weather. They had freezing of their everything from wind power to coal power to the gas system. Everything froze up, and they were about 40,000 megawatt hours short when it came to their peak. So that's the primary reason they had the problem. The other issue is they had a big market problem. And so the market prices went from normally, I would say, $45 a megawatt hour up to $9,000 per megawatt hour. So the market really didn't work in that really extreme situation. So that's why they had huge cost increases down in Texas. Alaska is much different. So from the market side, we are not in a market. We are a vertically integrated utility. It's a cost base. We're a cooperative. So we're not in a market. So whatever it costs us to produce it is what the customer will pay. We could have an increase if I have to run generation in Beluga, which is more expensive than running our newer combined cycles in town. That could increase cost, but not to the extent you're going from 50 megawatts or $45 a megawatt to 9,000. I might go from 50 to 100. Obviously we plan for cold weather. We're involved with cold weather. What we don't plan for is a super hot season. And that would be like 120 degree temperature summer. That's something we generally don't do. That's something that we're going to take a look at. And I don't think it will create a huge problem, but it's something we want to run through our models just to make sure that our systems can operate at the extreme high temperature, just like in Texas it was the extreme low temperature. But really, when you do your planning, you need to make sure you cover all the contingencies or as many contingencies as you can. And making sure that you have that contingency is the resilience of the system. We operate the Beluga power plant. A lot of people said, well, you don't operate it very often. Why don't you shut that down? Well, the advantage that it provides us is it's located on the other side of the inlet. And as a lot of you know, the gas fields are over in Beluga, and you have a pipeline that comes across. And that pipeline has had a tendency to fail going across the Big Sioux River. And so what we want to make sure is if there is a failure, another contingency, you have that failure, that you have the power plant available to provide power via transmission lines versus the underground gas pipeline. So it's those types of things we look at to try to make sure that we have the power we need at the time you need it. So it's basically looking at all the contingencies and trying to put plans in place to overcome those contingencies. Okay, next question. How will another disaster such as the November 30th, 2018 Alaska earthquake and later COVID-19 coronavirus affect prices of electric power? If a similar disaster occurs again, same or worse, is there a danger of Chugach Electric folding or shutting down? Is there a backup plan for disasters to keep electric power going? And I think really we are very fortunate. We have been through the earthquake, we've gone through the pandemic, and it really has not impacted reliability, price, or service. But I think the key in looking at future disasters is to make sure that we cover the contingencies, that we continue to evaluate those contingencies and put in plans in place to prevent a major impact to the electric system. We have to continue, with the pandemic plans. We have to look through our emergency response plans. We have to coordinate with the other utilities. We have to coordinate with the municipality and the state. I think if we do all that together, we should be good. But that's what we have to do, is plan for the worst and hope for the best. Okay, the next one, is there an estimated timeline for undergrounding? Chugach's 5-year undergrounding plan is on our website. If you go to our website and enter undergrounding in the search bar at the bottom of the page, you will find our distribution facilities undergrounding plan 2021 through 2025. We have combined our 5-year plan with MLMP's 5-year plan, so they're now in one document. A list of projects can be found with both a scope and boundary of each project identified. Please take a look and see if it's an area of town that you're familiar with. If you don't find what you're looking for, please give our engineering department a call, or on the website you can do a request and we'll have an engineer get back with you. But we do have projects. I think there's a total of 38 projects in the report. It has a total value of about $55 million, so it's a considerable effort to perform undergrounding. And for those who don't know, there's on your bill, there's a 2% surcharge for undergrounding. So all the customers are billed each month for that surcharge. And then those funds are collected and used to pay the $55 million over 5 years. Okay, next question. I'd like to keep informed on the billing information on how we, the community, is being billed by this corporation, please. We keep information about our rates on the Chugach website, and there is also considerable detail on your bill. The back of your billing statement has explanations of your bill components, and rate changes are communicated to members on the front of your bill in the message box when they happen. Anytime there is a rate adjustment, we also tell members about it in our monthly newsletter, The Outlet. To find the rate information on our website, go to the Regulatory Affairs section of our web. Also, you can track usage and see what times of day or the week you are using the most power by using My Account Member Portal. If you haven't already done so, please sign up for My Account, as there are many great features that make energy usage easier to follow and understand. Okay, next question is, are the electric rates increasing? Short answer, no. Electric rates have not gone up at Chugach. In fact, rates went down for all members in January. As part of our acquisition of MLMP, we must file a rate case no later than December of 2023. We don't anticipate any significant changes in electric rates in the coming months. Next question. I want to know how a single person living alone in an apartment and has gone to work 8 to 10 hours a day, and one's light bill is over $200 each month. How can we change or get a lower fixed rate? First off, I want to say if you're in an apartment, $200 a month shouldn't be right. I have a 1,400 square feet condo in downtown Anchorage, and I'm there. My wife's there a majority of the time. Our bill is about less than $70 a month. So you probably have something going on in your apartment that we should probably take a look at it. So if you call our customer service department, they can walk you through dealing with all the appliances. You have electric. Hopefully you don't have electric heat, but electric heat would cause it to be higher. Do you have a hot water heater, electric hot water heater that has failed? They can go through all these questions with you and try to identify the high use. So my first thing is, I don't think it should be that high, and I think we can help you through our customer service center to find the cause. We don't have specific rates that are a lump sum like that, but I think we can help you with our member services area. Okay, since Chugach Electric bought ML&P, did my bill go up? Your rates did not go up since we bought ML&P at the end of October 2020. In fact, all rates went down for all members in January. And we anticipate rates staying relatively flat this year with only small increases and decreases in the COPA rates, which again is the cost of power. Are there currently battery storage devices in service, and what are your future plans regarding this technology? We have a battery flywheel called the Multi-Stage Energy Storage System. It's a MES. It's a combination of a lithium-ion battery and a small flywheel with a microgrid control system. This concept is proving the extreme responsiveness of the flywheel to avoid battery cycling. By doing so, the battery life may be preserved, reducing lifetime cost. The MES is configured to respond to various grid conditions by injecting up to 3 megawatts of power into the grid when it has been disturbed. It also is tied via instrumentation to the Fire Island wind farm. By absorbing or injecting power, the system acts to control the ramp rate of the wind farm, which could otherwise be quite dramatic. Additionally, we have plans for a larger battery. We have a project we will take to the board in June, and we hope to break ground this summer. The battery is primarily a reliability project, and its primary function will be grid stabilization. The battery provides the ancillary benefit of reducing fuel usage by performing frequency regulation and spinning reserve functions. Finally, the increased grid stability and system response will enhance Chugach's ability to integrate non-dispatchable renewables like wind and solar. Okay, the next one is, when will we go nuclear? Nuclear power accounts for roughly 10% of the worldwide energy. We have not looked at conventional commercial scale nuclear at Chugach. Looking at the permitting requirements, the size of it, it's probably too big for what we do here in Alaska. We have looked at some small modular reactors. Those may be available in the future, but right now they're not commercially viable. There's some test units out there, but that's just some of the technology we have to look at. We want to make sure that whatever we come up with is going to be safe, reliable, and energy efficient. Okay, next question is, one goal of cooperative power utility is to provide low-cost, reliable power with minimal negative ecological and social impacts. Another goal should be to reduce the need for power by promoting energy efficiency, use in homes and workplaces, including at Chugach Electric office and facilities. When traveling or moving supplies and equipment, etc. What are the concrete steps Chugach Electric is taking to promote this goal? What are the projected savings of these steps over the next, say, 10 years on the need for additional power generation? I would say in the next 10 years, to answer the last question first, we have really no need for additional generation. We have adequate generation to meet our needs. Chugach has encouraged electric energy efficiency by its members through articles in the monthly newsletter, at annual meetings, at member appreciation days, and through its corporate actions. Members have responded in a significant way. End-use efficiency has increased by almost 1% per year for the past decade, thereby reducing electrical energy use and saving natural gas. Chugach also increased its own energy efficiency through lighting and controls retrofits, the purchase of electric vehicle in 2017, and we hope to add additional electric vehicles in the future, and many other actions, large and small, driven by Chugach's triple bottom line business philosophy. Most importantly, large efficiency gains have been created through the acquisition of Anchorage Municipal Light and Power. The acquisition allows Chugach to use the most efficient generating resources, which significantly reduces fuel and more efficiently uses hydro and wind power. So just the But putting the two systems together, we probably saved $10 to $11 million in fuel costs this year. Chugach has taken a leadership role in encouraging electrification of transportation by offering 8 electrical vehicle incentive programs, by providing ride and drive events, by leading the effort to create a rate for EV fast charging, and through public education events and electric vehicles. EVs that charge by Chugach's power mix reduce carbon dioxide emissions by about 70% as compared to similar internal combustion engines. Why do I receive a return billing envelope in the mail when I'm signed up for autopay? Good question. If you are signed up for autopay, you still receive a paper bill and envelope in the mail. The way to stop that delivery is to go into our My Account portal and sign up for paperless billing. If you go paperless, then our vendor won't send the paper bill and envelope. So there's an easy fix, just sign up for paperless billing. Why has Chugach authority to cut down trees on private property inside a fenced yard that are not inhibiting or a danger to wires? The last 2 years, I have had young trees topped within my yard cut off. I've had other trees within my fenced yard completely destroyed. First off, if you have a concern, I hope you call us and we can send out our tree crew and a manager to check out your particular situation. So my first thing is, I hate that a member has to write a question when they can give us a call, and hopefully we can get that resolved immediately after the event. But I want to kind of give a broader response. In order to provide safe and reliable power to our members and to keep the danger of wildfires down, we have a year-round program to remove trees and other vegetation from utility easements. That includes removing the vegetation within the full width of the easement, which is generally 10 feet on either side of the pole for a 20-foot span. It's common in Anchorage for easements to run through private property. That's the way Anchorage was built, but you have the easement that allows us to do that clearing. We do try to work with homeowners when possible, and I would say more than possible. We do want to work with the homeowners, but right-of-way clearing is required by the National Electrical Safety Code. If you believe we have taken trees that are not in the easement or not a danger tree, we can have our tree clearing contractor take a look. Please call our Member Services Department and we will direct you to the right person. Our complete tree clearing plan is posted on the Chugach website under Safety and Community. Okay, then we had a comment at the very end, and very much appreciated. And they say, our Chugach Power is a great service for the community. Thank you. And I do want to thank you for these questions. It's very helpful for staff to understand what the issues are from the membership. So please continue to have those questions and send me a note at any time, and we'll get you an answer. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Bettina.
Okay, great. Thank you, Lee. Those are great questions, and thanks to the membership for submitting those questions to us. Okay, before we sign off tonight, we have some fun stuff. We have some prizes to announce. So every member who voted in this year's annual election was entered to win 1 free year of electricity up to 10,000 kilowatt hours. And this year we chose 2 winners. Additionally, every member who signed up for the virtual annual meeting was entered to win 1 of 10 $100 gift cards from a local business. So we have drawn 10 member names of those who signed up for the annual meeting. And I'm going to turn it over to Julie so she can do the fun part of announcing the winners.
Thank you. Thank you, Bettina. This is the fun part of the meeting, getting to give away the prizes. We did take all the folks who voted, and BDO did a random drawing for 2 winners. And the folks who won 1 free year of electricity up to 10,000 kilowatt hours. First winner is Valerie C. Evans. And the second winner was the Shiloh Baptist Church. So in the next few days, we will reach out to you and make sure you come in and we'll get all your information and you'll get that credit going forward. So that was very exciting. And then, as Bettina mentioned, we took the roughly 200 folks who signed up for the annual meeting and did a random drawing of these door prizes. And same thing, we'll reach out to you in the next few days to get you your gift certificates. I have them all in my office. I'll just read the winners and the prizes. Member Marge Strutz won a $100 gift certificate to Simon and Seifert's. Lila Smith, a $100 gift certificate to Car Safeway. Catherine Schlosser, something like that, Schlossler, a $100 gift certificate to Lowe's. Christopher Pike to the Bicycle Shop. Again, these are all $100 gift certificates. Carl Oles, a $100 gift certificate that's good for Snow City, Crush, South Restaurant, or the Spenard Roadhouse. They're all owned by the same folks. Margaret Murphy, Sullivan's Steakhouse. Narcia Lupion, Club Paris. Gordon Glazer, $100 to Fred Meyer. Marcotti, $100 to Fred Meyer. And Sue Ann Hamilton Bailey, $100 gift certificate to Best Buy. So we wanted to support some local businesses and give folks an incentive to sign up for the annual meeting. So again, thank you for participating, and we will be in touch with you in the next few days to get you your gift certificates and your free electricity. Thank you.
Okay. Well, congratulations to all of the winners. We appreciate all of our members who voted. There's certainly incentive there to cast a vote and be entered into the yearly drawing for free electricity. Everybody loves that, right? And thank you to everyone this evening who's participated in this annual meeting. It's member involvement that brings meaning to the member-owned cooperative. So thank you, everyone. That pretty much is the conclusion of our program for the evening. But I am going to take director comments, which is what we do in our normal regular board meetings. So I will start out with Director Morse.
Thank you. I would like to also thank all of our members who make the co-op life possible, and your participation and engagement is important. I'd really like to shout out to all the members who attended our annual meeting and to the members who served on the committees, the election committee, the nominations committee, and the bylaws committee to make that possible, and to our members who ran. It is our candidates that make our elections possible. So thank you. And Erin, welcome to the board and the year ahead. I want to thank the Chugach employees. We always do a shout out, I think, at board meetings to the management team, but I also want to thank the committees and the workers that made the annual meeting possible, and all of the work that goes into a fair election and all of the work that goes on to keep our members engaged. So thank you for that. And I also want to thank the board of 2020 and 2021. The work that we did together in this past year was incredible to get us through the acquisition and through and on to the integration and the work to come, and all of the support staff that support the board, the IT, the admin, the scheduling, the work that we do together. And I thank Director Parks for his service and his time with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Morse. Director Hollis?
Well, thank you, and Director Morse, I think you covered all the ones I was going to. So I won't repeat all of that, but I particularly want to thank our members, all of you that joined us tonight, and all of the members that helped support this organization to make it successful. And we have been very successful. This organization has accomplished a lot in the last year. The acquisition obviously was a huge undertaking, and to accomplish that was, as Lee said earlier, it took a lot of effort from a great team on both sides to make it happen. So that I do appreciate. I know everyone at the board level appreciates how much hard work went into that, and for the long-term benefit of our members. And that's really what we're here for, is to make sure that we look out for the best interest of our members. And I believe this last year demonstrates that that's what our goal has been, and certainly looking towards the future. I also would like to welcome Aaron. Thank you for running. Thank you for joining us on the board. And also Mr. Cruzen for your efforts to run as well. And lastly, I would thank Director Parks. He's been an integral part of our board here the last number of years, and a contributor, and we appreciate the service that he's given Chugach at the board level. So with that, I will leave the rest of the thanks to Director Morse, who did a great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Hollis. Director Wiggin?
Thank you very much. Welcome, Aaron, to the board. I'm going to reserve my comments mainly around the importance of serving on this board. I'm now finishing my first year, so anybody in the audience, anybody who is interested in the utility business, is an extremely important component of our economy. I would recommend you jump in. Thank you very much for doing that, Fritz. I really appreciate that you ran, and Aaron and Stuart served admirably for the last however many years. So I would just ask members to get engaged and be involved in the utility. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wiggin. Dr. Kaysen?
Well, there's not much left to be said. Thank yous to the staff. Thank yous to my fellow board members. Director Parks, thank you. Director Whitney, welcome. And we're looking forward to another exciting year. And this is a very dynamic place. And in terms of making a difference, as Director Wiggins pointed out, in the local economy, this $1.4 billion company is a great place to be part of that effort. So looking forward to it.
Thank you, Dr. Kaysen. I'm going to have Director Henderson go for our newest board member.
Yeah, I've been here the longest here, and I've seen a lot of changes. I've seen a lot of things happen. The most important thing is, everybody says it's a co-op and maybe you don't grasp it, but this is your company. You've invested money in this company, and you get it returned in a return on your capital. You get it in a return on lower cost funds, and that reduces your costs, your per megawatt hour usage costs. Those are less than a company that's owned by shareholders who take the profit. You get all the profit. It's really important for you as members, as owners of this co-op, of this business, to participate. It is of your interest to express yourself, to bring your knowledge to this table, because this is the table that tries to give the strategic direction that Lee works fervently to implement. And not only Lee, but, well, we're getting less and less people in this room because of COVID, but there's a pretty good crowd of folks that usually show up, and it's those folks that make it work. All we do, and I really mean it, you as owners of this company, please participate. Please come and be on the committees. There's 4 or 5 committees, and they need your input. Please come and make this the most vibrant company that you'll ever own.
Thank you, Director Henderson. Director Whitney, I'm going to put you right on the spot, right out of the gate. So this is what we do. And welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate the welcome from everyone. It's an honor to be here. Thank you, Fritz, for running. I also want to thank Stuart for running and acknowledge his service. He's done a fine job. And thank you to the members for voting. Thank you to Chugach employees for facilitating everything that has happened. I am excited to serve on this board, to bring my experience in electricity and power to these issues, but also learn from all of you. So I'll keep it short and sweet tonight, but thank you very much.
Thank you. Lee, do you have any?
No, everybody's told all the thunder. I
They
mean,
took it
some
all.
just great comments. Again, congratulations to Whitney and Mr. Cruzen. And thanks to Mr. Parks for his service. You know, it was really amazing when you look at the resumes of the 3 people that were running. And it's just exciting that people of this caliber want to be on this board. And it's really my pleasure to serve as CEO, and I'm really honored to be leading this effort with such a great team. So anyway, thank you very much, and good luck to everybody.
Thank you, Lee. All right, it's always going last is always the worst, but also I get to stand up here and talk all evening. So I just want to repeat all of the thanks that Director Morse came out of the gate with, and thank you to all the members for participating in this meeting, participating in the election. As everyone said, these elections are really, really important. And I want to thank both Mr. Cruzen and Ms. Whitney for running. We've all run campaigns, and it's not the easiest thing to do, putting yourself out there. And I want to extend what Lee said, the caliber of people that run for this board. It's amazing. And I really appreciate working with my fellow board members to tackle all of the strategic issues that come up before us, and continue to come up. Every board meeting is something different, but something exciting, and we all seem to work really well together to come up with the best strategies and plans to overcome the obstacles and to keep making this the best organization that we can possibly make it. So thank you to everyone for your participation in your member-owned cooperative. I really appreciate it. So with that, I will take a motion for adjournment.
So moved. Second.
Okay, all those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we are now adjourned. 7:04. Thank you, everyone.